For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the Stories Inside the Man Cave boys recommended you.
Swung on.
Well, here we are. This is arguably one of the best times of year, especially for those who are college baseball fans. We're entering that transition between late spring, early summer, and for college baseball fans like myself and so many others, this is where the postseason starts to really line up. We start to see who are the true contenders, the ones who are going to host regionals. And so we're entering that phase where the conference tournaments are about to begin. And, well, for Texas, as you just saw there, that was a big-time win for Texas. I know it was over Kansas. Not exactly the best program, but a sweep of a Big 12 baseball program, that being the Kansas Jayhawks in Austin. Of course, that was Messinger, the former Kansas Jayhawk himself, with the grand slam yesterday, which helped Texas build a run differential, which the Jayhawks couldn't overcome, and Texas closed it out. And so now we're at a point to where we can really talk about college baseball's RPI. That's the ratings percentage index and regional host possibilities. And so in this episode, it's brought to you by Honest Air Conditioning and Plumbing, which you can see right here, their logo. Offices usually in the northern part of Austin and the northeastern and north suburbs like Hutto, Georgetown, Cedar Park, Leander, and Georgetown, as I mentioned, and North Austin. These guys are legit. They're veteran and locally owned, truly locally owned. And, well, they take pride in a handshake. You know, handshake, look in the eye. Usually you can trust people like that and who are believing that. And that's what Honest is all about. Ideal time to schedule your AC unit to have maintenance. We're already hitting triple digits. Not good this early, but it is what it is. We live in a region of the country where we see a lot of extremes here in the Austin, Texas, Hill Country area. So give Honest a call. Google them, look it up. And those guys and you have my endorsement 100%. And they are a friend and a supporter of Stories Inside the Man Cave. In case you're not aware, my name is Sean Clinch, the host of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a mini episode, if you will. And it's not because of my biasedness, if you will, on that toward college baseball. It's just a season. It's really fun this time of year. And as for the Texas Longhorns, the preseason #1 baseball program in the country, when Tanner Witt, the #3 pitcher, suffered that season-ending injury, the bullpen and the pitchers really hit a tailspin. The hitting has been there all year. 106, 107, 108 home runs for the year. That's a school record. You've got Ivan Melendez, tied currently, 28 long balls, hoping to break that. I'm pretty sure he'll break that school record, as the Longhorns are headed to Arlington this week with 39 wins to 17 losses. They have an RPI which suggests they're on the bubble of a regional host. So for those who are not too sure how college baseball works in the postseason, it's a 64-team field. There are 16 4-team double elimination tournaments. So there are 16 regional hosts. They will reveal the top 8 seeds in the next pretty soon, actually. And, of course, the conference tournaments began, as I mentioned, Big 12 up in Arlington at the Rangers' beautiful new ballpark. But Texas, at 13-4, In their last 17 games, they close out the regular season pretty hot, and they are shoring up that pitching staff. Um, I know Hanson is their go-to guy. Stevens, he's kind of developed a role, was the number two, great pitcher, the number two last year, but new year, new season, new role. He has become a guy here of late who has really become reliable out of the bullpen. The guy is fun to watch, good energy, and he can really make things happen and really keep hitters out of rhythm. Unpredictable what he's going to throw, but his location has been pretty good here the last couple of weeks, maybe three. But Texas Longhorns case to host a regional, even at 39 wins, it appears to me that they need at least 2 wins at the Big 12 tournament to really put themselves into the position to get one of those 14, 15, 16, one of those last 3 spots to host a regional. Traditionally, I don't think the NCAA selection committee, is going to reward more than 3 Texas programs regional host, that is, TCU, the regular season champ. Their RPI is kind of low, considering TCU, a good ball club, but the regular season chance for the Big 12. But I really think Texas has a wonderful opportunity to really prove themselves in the Big 12 tournament. And for the first time in a good while, this Big 12 conference tournament, each game means something. Because I'm looking at, if you really look at the standings of the Big 12, you got Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas, and you go down the list a little bit more, TCU, Tech, OU, OSU, and Texas. 4 of those 5 really need a couple of wins, maybe 3, to claim a regional host spot. That's just how it is, and that's good because the Big 12 tournament, people really hear recent history over the last 10 years. They really have an idea before they're going in. Yeah, they were probably hosting. Really was no doubt about it. So for Texas, I think the target is 2 wins to reach 41 wins. And great job by David Pierce and his staff to really turn this program around here in these last 2 weeks, more so than ever, because they could have easily tanked. But I just think that's the ebbs and flows of baseball. You just saw Messinger's grand slam bomb to beat Kansas, his former team. That was phenomenal. But you got to ask a question about that team in College Station. We have to admit that Schlossnagle, the former TCU coach, has done amazing work with that program. Even since they visited Austin for that midweek game, they won the Western Division of the Southeastern Conference. Schlossnagle, great coach, great developer. They are right there too, as well as Texas. They have a legit chance now if they get 1, maybe 2 wins in the SEC to boost that RPI. I know RPI is not the only factor in determining who will host. Of course, if you want big crowds and generating revenue, A&M and Texas will produce, as well as Tech and TCU and even OSU with that brand new ballpark in Stillwater. So I think the Aggies, they have that on their side, the revenue generating, the Schlossnagle factor, and the fact that A&M is playing really good baseball right now. Now, the only question mark, and really anyone watching this who really knows college baseball knows that Texas State has built a resume which is legitimate. I mean, right there, where they really need to be considered to host a regional in San Marcos, Texas. Yeah, Stephen Trout. Listen to this. Not one conference road loss this season, 15-0. And the Sun Belt is no slouch of a baseball league. In fact, they have one of the nation's best programs right now. And they've always played good baseball. And I want to show you a graphic. And this is just some notable names in the current when this episode was recorded of the RPI. Sorry for how big this thing is. I'm going to remove this lower third banner here. So, Tennessee, a program in the SEC. Frank Anderson, the pitching coach, used to be a pitching coach at the University of Texas. Great guy. Really is a phenomenal coach. Coached at Oklahoma State, coached at Houston. And he's been around and he knows and he brings toughness to the game. They're number one in the country, and they have been for a little while now. So, Georgia Southern, as I just mentioned, 10 in the latest Warren Nolan Live RPI. Do they have the resume in addition to the RPI? Can they provide what it takes to host? Can they place a bid high enough to host a regional? DBU, a beautiful ballpark up there in Dallas, but are they a regional host type program? They have the program. They have the record against some really good competition, pre-conference and midweek. So DBU, the Patriots, phenomenal. Now, look at the Big 12. Oklahoma State 19, 20. Texas A&M, the Longhorns, as I mentioned, 22. But Texas State, 26. So, unfortunately, I think for Texas State, they really need to produce a good 3 solid wins in that Sun Belt tournament to put themselves in position. Because I don't think the NCAA selection committee is overlooking the Bobcats. I think this program is, Ty Harrington, when he was there, he made them relevant. They never hosted a regional, but they built that ballpark a number of years ago with that in mind. But we have to take in consideration that probably no more than 3 Texas schools are going to host. And one of them is right there to the side, notable, TCU with an RPI of 34. They're the Big 12 regular season champions. So how odd would that be if the Big 12 regular season champions aren't hosting? I still think TCU does need a win or 2 in the Big 12 tournament to solidify their case. All these programs will be in the regional and what I call May Madness. Yeah, so Texas State firmly has a grasp. They're 44-11, guys. 44-11 with some pretty good wins. But what hurts them is their strength of schedule. Last I looked, 112. 112 strength of schedule. And that's going to hurt them at some point. Texas, I think their strength of schedule is 26. It may be off. But that 112 ranking of strength of schedule, it may come back to haunt Texas State. But if I'm trying to lobby for into the NCAA selection committee, guys, give Texas State a bid to host. We know they're going to the regionals. If they're a number 2 seed, give them the opportunity to host because they do draw crowds, and it's becoming a baseball school. It really is. It's becoming it's the springtime at San Marcos. The hotel space is there. They're close to a major airport, Austin, 20-something minutes away from that airport. Other than the gridlock that can be I-35, give the Bobcats a chance and be different this year. And if it takes 4 Texas schools, I would love to see it happen. Would love to see that happen. Just because we don't have to go off tradition. But you saw the key RPI leaders. That's where we are in college baseball right now. That's pretty much all we have. Texas, I think, they're riding a heater right now. And at this point, I think you've got to really – Texas has put themselves back into position to hosting discussion. And I think it's a solid case. I really do, especially if they get 2, even 3 wins up in Arlington at the Big 12 tournament. Now, changing topics here, I want to give a couple of shouts out, if you will. So I've been on the committee for Bob Ballou. He is the sports director at KI here in Austin, CBS Austin. Great guy, really into dedicating himself into the community. He's a great storyteller. He's a good human being. I've been on the committee for his Under Blue Skies event and golf tournament, which benefits ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease and the ALS of Texas organization. I just want to show you a video. We did something this year that was pretty phenomenal as a team, as a group. This is out on one of his holes. And speaking of, Bob's a great golfer, and you're about to see some familiar faces in this piece of video that I shot.
Challenge. I'm so glad to do this. Very ant challenge.
Oh!
Yeah. So good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was, I forgot which hole that was. That was 2 Fridays ago at Avery Ranch. Avery Tomasco, the meteorologist at KI, Anthony Geronimo, the fine American, long-time sports producer, photographer, and Jeff Barker, sports anchor reporter at KI. That was one of the holes, and you bid, and you get to give Bob an ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Well, the event this year set a record. Over $200,000 raised because of the generosity of Austin, Texas, businesses from all over, just a lot of people. And it's hard work, especially post COVID, but there are a lot of generous people who are willing to get involved like that. And I can't wait for next year as we start planning. So if you see this and you're interested in jumping on board of this event, it's phenomenal. Thursday night event is always the dinner fundraiser, great entertainment. And then Friday is the golf tournament. Of course, I arrived late because some of us work, have jobs. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's with everybody. But that's the way it is. So if you want to get involved, shoot me a private message at SeanC_ATX. That's my personal, or at Stories Man Cave, or just comment below here on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll get you set up. Another shout out. I want to pull up a picture. Something that's really special, not only to me, but I thought that you would be interested in to know, as we are all doing, so many of us are doing whatever we can to make the world a better place, especially when it involves race. Look at all these beautiful photos. I'll just give you a quick background on what I'm talking about. And this is something that is so near and dear to me. So I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. I had heard about Old Anderson High School on the east side probably since I was 8 years old. Nobody, not one person could tell me about the history. I knew it was during segregation and all African-American student body, but I wanted to know why it was closed. I learned about the history is when I was in high school, very curious, but no one could really tell me what's going on. I heard about the stories on Thursday nights. Darrell Royal and the Texas football staff would stand up on that hill in East Austin, full packed house, to watch some amazing football. Old Anderson won 4 state championships. That was during the Prairie View Interscholastic League days and before that too. 4 state championships from Austin, Texas. But not only athletes, tremendous accomplished people, engineers, lawyers, everything. A proud community, the Yellow Jackets community, that is, of old LC Anderson. Well, the high school I went to, we'll refer to as a new LC Anderson, was opened in 1973. There was integration. There were some issues. Just with change comes issues. Well, I want to fast forward to when I went to Stephen F. Austin in East Texas. I ran across some people who had ties to Old Anderson. Then my third job in my TV career before the fourth and final stop at KVU in Austin was in Oklahoma City. There is a historically black college, proud university near Guthrie, Oklahoma, just north of OKC, called Langston University. And some of their most accomplished alumni had ties to Old Anderson. And I'm thinking to myself, whenever I have an opportunity to work in Austin, I'm going to help merge and help do what I can to build a gap, bridge the gap and merge these two communities together. Well, fast forward to 2 Sundays ago with some amazing people at current Anderson High School and some alums from both sides. You know, I had established some relationships with the older Yellow Jackets who are now good friends of mine. Well, we created a unified LC Anderson Hall of Honor. Our first class was inducted. To the far right was my high school football coach, the first AD and head football coach at New Anderson, Jim Acker. Really made my day because those coaches were father figures of mine because I had lost my father right before I entered high school. And Coach Acker and those guys were my fathers for the most part. But we inducted, half the class was Yellow Jackets from Old Anderson and half Trojans. And we had honored some teams and coaches as well. It's a beautiful ceremony. And, you know, I just can't thank everyone enough. And I got to give a big shout out to Eric Swanson, who is a coach on the staff at Anderson right now, who really took the reins of this and did the heavy lifting. So Coach Swanson, amazing job. Can't wait to work with you moving forward to the second class of the LC Anderson High School Hall of Honor. It's going to be amazing. Hey, to lift things up, and I know that was positive, we liked, you know, there's some crazy things on TikTok. I think we all know that. And I want to show you this. This is the latest edition of TikToking in the Man Cave.
Austin!
Hey, I'm going to bet money. I'm going to bet the house that Austin, who I assume is that young lady's husband, is probably still sleeping on the couch. If you didn't notice that practical joke, he tied rubber bands to the nozzle handle on the sink. So when she turned on the water pressure, waterfall all over in the face. Good job, Austin. But I don't know if that was a great decision. I think that's going to come back to haunt you for a little bit, but hilarious nonetheless. Hey, quick shout out before we get out of here to one of our loyal sponsors, that being a guy named Hutch.
Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Hey, thanks, Hutch. Yeah. Kevin Hutchison, Anderson Trojan for life. But he is now, not only does he know Austin as he has for over 2 decades, he now is selling homes and developing a clientele base in the San Antonio area. So if you're in San Antonio and even back here in Austin, yeah, give Kevin Hutchison a shout with Realty Austin. He will do you right. So we're going to revisit this week. We got, you know, if I can ask you, go ahead and look at the previous episodes, some good ones. Todd Haney, former Longhorn baseball player, funny. We've got some really good storytelling that we've had recently. Travis Driscoll, a former Major League Baseball and one of those grinders of baseball. He's a pitcher, 15-year career, played a lot in the minors. I played summer ball with the guy, but he has some great stories, and he also has some advice on a special tequila that he learned about when he played professionally in Mexico. And coming up this week, we've got an agenda. I hate to tease who we have just in case something gets canceled, but as of right now, we have 3 solid episodes coming up, and then 1 week from Monday, special college baseball edition prior to the regionals. So for my guys, the OG Man Cave boys who really helped me get this thing going so long ago, right at the beginning of the lockdown. Much love to them always. And if you don't know their names, the OG Man Cave boys, Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harch. We out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.